Yeah, might seem so long. I've never been so wrong. What's up, everybody? We are live again Tuesday night. We're going to talk about some great things tonight. We're going to have some great conversation. We thank you guys for being here. You're watching YLTV. Let's go.
Young lion, everywhere I look, they dying. Everywhere I look, they dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they dying. Everywhere I look, they dying. Young lion, won't you get up and stop fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding.
That's right. You are watching Young Lion TV. It's Tuesday night, so we're live. We're doing our podcast as we do every Tuesday here at the office, a.k.a. the Lion's Den at True Sound Studios in Camden, New Jersey. We want to thank everybody who's tuned in right now, and we want to make sure that you all give it a like, thumbs up, share, all that good stuff, and also go to patreon.com/Young Lion TV if you want to support the fellas here. Having some real conversation, trying to expose a lot of the things that we just kind of become accustomed to just believing and not seeing in our daily lives, and we're just talking about those things and trying to get people to think differently about things than just going along with the system. We got to get you out of the mindset of being a sheep and start being lions. So with that in mind, let's introduce. We don't got my brother here this evening because he had some family stuff to take care of, but we got my brother from another mother, the brother-in-law, the half black, half Indian with the Spanish last name, Mr. Build Right, aka James Garcia.
What's up?
Yeah, what's up, my brother? And then next to him is, of course, the Asian sensation, Mr. Samun Chang.
Chang Sam Un.
Chang Sam Un. We're going to be talking about your people today, sir.
Oh, man.
Your
my
people. Yeah. We got to talk about that stuff. And last but not least, holding it down on the ones and twos. She's got a whole little setup over there going strong. She's going to try to keep up with the clips and all of the research and everything is the lovely Miss Rachel Rota.
With the awesome shirt.
What's the shirt? What's the shirt today?
The t-shirt game is...
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see it. What is it? I can't see
Infinity
it past
Gauntlet.
Old school.
Yeah,
the
the
old
original.
Yeah, the comic book
with Adam
cover.
Warlock on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, once again, we appreciate you guys. Anybody that's watching right now, say what's up. Join in on the conversation. We're going to be talking about things that maybe you haven't heard about. If you have any other questions that maybe we can answer, just shout us out in the chat. Also, if there's something that you want us to talk about, bring it up in the chat. We'll definitely address it the best that we know how from our perspective. But yeah, so I want to get into this. What is so funny over there?
Nothing.
Something's funny.
No. I'm good.
I want to get into, last week we touched on this briefly at the end of the podcast. We were talking about the South Park episode Banned in China, which was like a pun on what's going on in China right now.
Yeah. A little satire, but the way they did it was really clever because it was banned, B-A-N-D, because I think it was Cartman started a band that got discovered, and they wanted to try to sell the music in China, so they had to do like a biopic of the band that just started. It was funny because it was touching on the music industry and how like everything is just commercial now, and it's like the band hasn't even sold a record yet, but they're like, the way you're gonna get famous is you got to do a biopic. You know what I mean? Because all of the biopics that are like all over the Hollywood right now with Queen and Elton John and all these biopics, so they're like, we got to get your biopic down. So as they're coming up with the script for the biopic, there's like a Chinese general standing over them, like cutting out anything that offends China. You know what I mean? Right. And at the same time, his dad is trying to sell his weed business in China. So he like boards a plane to go to China to try to like make a deal over there. But while he's on the plane, all of like the corporations that are like swept up in this right now were boarding the plane. And it's funny because there was NBA players getting on there. James Harden was one of them. This is before all of this happened. All of the like Avengers characters got on the plane. Disney characters got on the plane. And I don't know if you guys know about the Winnie the Pooh meme that was going on in China.
No.
I heard about it, but I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
there was like apparently the people out there started tweeting this meme comparing the president to Winnie the Pooh. So because of that meme, Winnie the Pooh got banned in China because you can't make fun of the president.
Right,
You know, it's,
right.
when you live in a communist regime like that, they don't take like, because in that culture, it's like any type of mockery is considered like a weakness or shame. You know, so they can't allow it. So they've been banning everything. So South Park was making this pun, banned in China, which was like a band trying to sell to China and
a
all
double
this
entendre,
right?
guys.
But then the irony of it is that all of this stuff comes out in the NBA this week, and South Park gets banned in China.
Yeah.
So they totally scrub South Park from everything.
Yeah.
South Park is completely banned in China. And if you're not familiar with what's going on in China, that first clip that I put, Rach, I want to kind of give people the backstory of what's going on over there, the protests and everything, so people can kind of know what politically is going on in China and why this is like significant.
Okay, so hold on. The YouTube link here.
Yeah, the very first Hong Kong link there,
Okay.
and then everything else under that will kind of be chronologically how we'll go. Hey, what's up, Amy? Amy's watching. What's up, Gina? Love you too. Who else is that? Christy and Michelle. What's up, guys? Hey, do us a favor, like and share this stream. Let's see if we can.
On this day, 22 years ago, Hong Kong was returned to China from the British. But there
So
was
only
an
22
agreement.
years ago.
Hong Kong
Wow.
would maintain a high degree of autonomy. Now, that autonomy is under threat. And people here are not happy about it. Protesters surround and storm the government headquarters. Chaos raises a key question. Will violence ultimately come to define this movement against China's growing influence? This is what we saw. Protests happen here every year on July 1st, but today is different. The street clashes began in the early morning. They followed weeks of protests against an extradition bill. People here fear it would allow China to take anyone accused of a crime back to the mainland and try them under its authoritarian system. The bill has become a symbol of what Hong Kongers see as a threat to their identity and way of life. Through the day, tensions built as protesters barricaded the streets.
而家頭盔嘅話就係防止俾佢哋嘅警棍打到我哋嘅，因為呢個頭部係要害，所以我哋要防止佢哋打到我哋個頭。保鮮紙嘅話就係用嚟防止警方施放催淚彈嘅時，或者胡椒噴霧嘅時候，去保護我哋自己皮膚。
即係如果真係有你嗰啲嘢啊，你而家
One
就
dude
攻
had
埋
half
去啊，
of
咪就係製造個衝突咯，簡單啫嘛。
suitcase, like
你手上都
you
有
know, our
警
carried
棍。
on suitcase. He had half of it as a
Riot
shield.
groups
Yeah.
responded with batons and pepper spray. Across town, we found a different scene. Hundreds of thousands assembled for a march in 90-degree summer sun.
Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Democracy now! Democracy now!
As a symbolic act of defiance, they tear up records of musicians who appeared at a pro-police rally on June 30th.
我哋都要清理嘅，我哋唔可以咧咁樣留啲垃圾喺度，我哋都要抌咗佢。
This was not the first time Hong Kongers took to the streets to defend their freedoms against Chinese interference. But for many, the massive scale and simultaneous use of force has felt unprecedented. We asked demonstrators how this shift is shaping the future of their city.
We would like to make things more peaceful, but none of the police
Okay.
think about it. Yeah.
We can
Some
end it
wouldn't
there. I just kind of
condemn
want to give the
escalation and
backstory of what's going on. So I want to say what's up to Michelle. Yeah, it was good seeing you on Saturday. I ran into Michelle I went to this like Apple Festival in Medford, Shaniqua went there with. So just randomly, she was there. You remember her from Active Fitness? She used to work out there all the time. The Moan's face. If you saw her, you would remember.
I have to look at your Facebook page.
But so we were just walking through, and she was like, "Jamie," and I turned, and I was like, I did the same thing. She was like, "You don't remember me?" And I was like, "You look so familiar." And then she was like, "Remember Active Fitness?" And yeah, I remembered her from that. She used to work out there with but she's known us since back then. She's been following us since then.
Wow.
So I just wanted to give her a shout out. She's watching right now.
What's up, Michelle?
Oh, Jake is watching too. Yo, man, what's up? Hope everything's cool with Leslie and everything. We're all praying. So I wanted to give the backstory kind of what's going on in Hong Kong, because the funny thing is a lot of people had no idea that even there was this situation. A lot of people don't even know that Hong Kong is kind of separate from China.
Right.
Right. As far as like,
I didn't even know that until
their government. Yeah.
Until all this. Well, before this, I watch a lot of podcasters, and they've been talking about some of that stuff.
Yeah. So basically, what it is Hong Kong was still under the rule of the UK until I think it was like 1992 or around that time, and then they just kind of sold it back, but it still kind of remained an independent, sovereign city.
Okay, right.
And they still had a capitalist kind of society, but China is communist, So now they
have benefited from.
Right. Yeah. They have benefited from. Absolutely. They're both kind of benefiting from each other.
They're benefiting from, they want to condemn it.
Right. Exactly.
So there's like dualities going on there.
It's a weird duality happening. But the thing that the protesters really got ramped up after someone ended up dying, I think in China, and they were trying to create a bill to make it legal to extradite people out of Hong Kong to China to have them tried in the mainland, which is totally different than their court system.
Right.
So this is where all these protests are erupting, which is causing like this huge divide. People are getting killed. Like children are out there getting killed, teenagers. People are getting like shot by the police, beat up, and a lot of them are just trying to like maintain their liberty in a sense. So they're waving American flags out there, just trying to give the idea that they want to continue to have a democratic society there,
right?
Which is understandable, but at the same time, it's a complex situation,
right?
But the thing that has made it even more controversial is the other things that the Chinese government has been doing, as far as like being super authoritarian when it comes to anything outside of their ideology,
religion, whatever.
They're rounding up Christians and Muslims and putting them in re-education centers, is what they're calling them,
right?
Which are have been deemed as concentration camps, and
right. And they're asking for a more traditional China,
right. So I want to kind of now, back a few months ago, I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast, and he had this futurist on there. And you guys may remember him from the clip that I posted on our page about when he was talking about genetics and where that was headed. This guy. So in that podcast, it's a really good podcast. I would recommend you guys like watching the whole thing. But in this podcast, he went into China and like kind of was predicting what China was trying to do. And so I want to play a little bit of that so people can understand like what China's goal is in all of this, and then we can get into the NBA and why people are outraged with that.
I mean, the thing with China had this great ancient civilization, but they destroyed their own civilization in the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution. They burned their books, they smashed their own historic relics, and so it's a society in many ways that's starting from scratch. And so all of these norms that people inherit through their traditions, China in many ways doesn't have. And so it's a very different, and China is growing. I mean, they are increasingly powerful, and China is going to be a major force defining the world of the 21st century. That's why America has to get its act together, because when the Chinese nationalists left in 1949, when they lost, as they were losing the Civil War, they took the treasures and they put them in the National Museum of Taiwan. In the Cultural Revolution, the Great Leap Forward, China, the Red Guards were just smashing all of their own stuff, their own ancient history. And now the Chinese Communist Party is saying, oh, no, we're going back and we have this great 5,000-year-old culture. And in some ways it's true, but in some ways it's like an adolescent culture without these kinds of restrictions that other societies have.
And it makes so much sense in terms of like how frantic they are at restructuring their world.
Yeah, and they feel that they got screwed over because there is this sense of Chinese greatness. When you hear the word Middle Kingdom, it's like China's the center of the world and everybody else is some kind of tributary. And so they're monumentally pissed off that these colonial powers came and overpowered them, and they had to make all these concessions. They had to give land away, and hell-bent on regaining it.
They're playing the long game.
They are playing a long game, and we have to be, and we are not, and we have to be mindful of it.
That's also something you can do if you have complete control of your population. You don't have to worry about people's opinions, or you can just go in the direction that you feel is going to benefit the Chinese power, the power that be.
Well, this is a country run by engineers. We're a country run largely by lawyers and reality TV people, I guess.
Yeah.
But in China, it's run by engineers, so there are all these problems, and the answer is always engineering. So if you have a population problem, the answer is
I remember when I first watched this, I thought, me and you talked about this before, about like the fact that all of our politicians are lawyers and how does that benefit our society?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like all of our presidents are usually ex-lawyers, and it's like, so they all come from the mindset of, okay, how can we argue laws? How can we just get around stuff? How can we figure out ways to argue our side of things and create like a one-up over the other guy by just arguing? And no one's thinking of like actual solutions. Right. You know, that's the difference between our culture here in America and what he's talking about in China. And in a way, you see the ups and the downsides and the upsides to both of those. You know what I mean? But China is just kind of like very, figure out a solution. But we can continue watching.
One-child policy, environmental problem. You have Three Gorges Dam. You don't have water in the north of China. You build this massive, biggest water project in the world from south to north. You want to win in the Olympics. You engineer your population. You take kids away from their families and put them in their Olympic sports school. So I write about this in Genesis Code. If you're China and you kind of have this Plato's Republic model of the world, and we're going to kind of identify the genetic, or maybe manipulate these genetic superstars to be our greatest scientists and mathematicians and business leaders and political leaders, like there's a model that you can imagine for how to do it.
Wow. It makes you really nervous.
It should. Yes. That's the thing. No, it's like, that's why, like, I just feel like with this country, we don't have time to have all these distractions. We're focusing on junk.
Like what?
It just like all of this. I'm on CNN all the time when I'm home in New York, and I always say, like, you guys, and I'm talking about kind of geopolitical issues, China and North Korea. What I always say is, like, you guys recognize this is porn. Like CNN and MSNBC, that's like one kind of porn, and Fox and whomever else, InfoWars, that's another kind of porn. But it's all porn, and we're drawing people's attention to these few stories. But there's these big stories that we have to focus on, and certainly the rise of China is such an essential story for the 21st century, because China is competing in all of these technologies, and China, it's like go, go, go. I mean, people in China who are involved in the tech world, when they go and visit Silicon Valley, uniformly they say, we cannot believe these people are so lazy. Like, why are they not working 24 hours a day? Why are they not issuing new products every week? And so this is, I mean, they are racing somewhere, and it's going to have huge implications for the world. And so if we believe in our values, as I believe we should, we have to fight for them. And the place that we have to fight for them first is here. I'm not a fan of everything that this administration is doing, but I think on China, it's important that we need to stand up, and I think pushing back on Huawei is the right thing to do.
Because what you were talking about, the investments that Huawei or that the Chinese government makes in these other these countries, and that don't seem to make sense if you're just dealing with a company.
Right.
But if you're dealing with someone who's trying to take over the world, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so when we have our companies, that you're out in someplace in Africa and you're competing with a Chinese company to do something, build a port or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're competing because you are an American company. And so you have your calculus, all right, this is the port, what's the income stream going to be about it? And you have a certain amount that you can bid, because otherwise it becomes a bad investment. But if the Chinese company is that, their calculus is not, is this a good or bad investment? It's what is the state interest in controlling or quasi-controlling this asset? And so that's why we can't project ourselves onto the Chinese. We can't say they're just like us, just different. We have different models, and our models are competing.
Okay, so there's a lot there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It is.
And a lot of stuff that we've talked about in the past. We've brought this up on the podcast, and we've talked about it amongst each other, just talking about what China's doing in Africa, what they're doing in Jamaica, for example, and how they look at all of their companies because of this communist regime that they have in place. It's like every company involved in China has to somehow prop up the government, the president, or their whole system in general.
Right.
All of the companies that come out of China, the tech companies, Huawei is a huge one. That's a big reason why. Oh, it is so funny over there. It's a big reason why the 5G thing was so controversial for a while there. And that's why Trump keeps talking about us creating our own 5G technology, because China is about to control all of that.
Right.
And what they're doing is they're building in a system that once it's implemented, that all of that information is going to be sent back to their government. You know what I mean? They're going to be able to tap into everything that anyone does on the internet.
Right. I also want to say something. I think what people don't understand is what's happening there. If to understand it, it would be this: there's the physical colonialism, which happened in the past, with countries conquering other country. This is economic and technology colonialism, but mostly economic colonialism. And they're coming in and they're pretty much going to rule the world by buying the world.
Buying it and building infrastructure, creating deals where people are beholden to their governments.
Right. And you're going to be indebted to them.
Right.
And you're going to, just as what we're saying that they want to get back to traditional Chinese culture, they're going to be able to go around the world and set up essentially little Chinas.
Right.
And because you owe them, these countries owe so much to them, they'll just take over. You know, that's what people don't understand. So it's economic colonialism that's happening. That's what we're witnessing.
That's what we're witnessing. And they're going to the poor countries and just totally just buying it up.
Right.
The more stronger countries like America, they're still finding ways in through the economy, through all of our industries.
Right.
So like the fact that they're funding Hollywood, they're funding a lot of these, what are they called? The picture houses like Paramount, Warner Brothers, all this stuff. So
they're backing them.
Yeah, they're backing them. So and they've done this already. It's been shown that like certain movies, if they make Chinese villains or China is the villain, as like far as there was a movie where China was taking over a country or somehow was involved in conflict with the U.S. and they threatened to defund the movie if they didn't change it, and they ended up changing it to North Korea.
Oh wow!
And the same thing with Apple. They just recently, because of the protests going on there, they were using this app in the App Store to like coordinate and for people to know where they were going to meet up and different things. And China forced Apple to remove that app from the App Store,
and that's power.
Yeah, that is huge power.
That's what we're saying here is that you have to understand whenever you can make multi-billion-dollar companies far away from you move and shake, you have power.
But think about it. They're the second strongest economy in the world, right?
Right.
Trying to be the first. But the potential there, how many people are in America? 330 million people, right? Roughly. How many people in China?
Billion.
Over 1 billion.
Right.
So the potential to make money there is
it's huge,
astronomical.
Yeah.
It's 3 times as much. So they're gonna bend to that will, just to get a foothold there. And that's why I want to show this next video that kind of breaks down a lot of they did a good job of breaking this down. And this is an old video too, breaking down like Hollywood and like a lot of these industries that have pretty much, made these moves to get a foothold in China.
Right.
And which has given China power over our way of life here.
Right.
Yeah, do you remember this movie? I don't, because I never heard of it.
I remember it.
Warcraft.
And it was a huge flop.
Yeah, it was.
Huge flop in the U.S. For those that are just listening, it was still one of the most popular movies in 2016. Why? Because of China. $213 million in China.
And this was a video game, and that's a very big video game culture. So.
Right. 17% of all global box office revenue is in China. So they can only show 34 foreign movies a year. So a lot of these places, they're bringing in Chinese producers and directors to get around that so that it's not considered a foreign movie.
Right.
So they cast like famous Chinese actors.
That's where Black Panther went
She
wrong.
uses a lot of Fair and Handsome.
You heard me?
Yeah. Definitely. That's why Black Panther was a flop there, right?
Yeah.
Too many blacks.
Too many blacks.
I remember watching this movie, and China was the space program that saved the day, basically, in the Martian movie. China doesn't like the Dalai Lama. They kicked them out of China, for those that don't know. Brad Pitt was banned from China when he did 7 years in Tibet. Okay, we can stop this. The music was driving me crazy. Okay, well, you get the idea. So it's like all of these movies, all of these companies are trying to get a foothold in that market because it's so huge. And this is the thing, like, I don't even hold it against China for wanting to keep hold of what they consider their values. Right. Like, if I know, for me, if my family is like, yo, if someone wants to come into my house, they have to abide by my rules, and my value system applies. You know what I mean? I understand that. I don't hold that against them at all. If they don't, some of the stuff I agree with the Dalai Lama and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it comes to what other countries are willing to do and sacrifice on just to be there, just to get a seat at the table, that's when you see it becoming a problem. When our country is so
setting aside morals,
but only when it comes to money, though, because when we watch them constantly divide this country based off of moral indifferences and stuff that they don't agree with, and this person, you know, gets canceled because they don't agree with you on this or that, but it's like China, they have no stance on
nothing to say,
nothing to say.
The woke culture.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what the South Park episode was about, kind of about. Yeah. And so this brings us to the NBA. So over the last week, the NBA, if you guys haven't heard, which I don't know who hasn't heard, but it's been a huge story. The NBA has kind of been under fire because the general manager of the Houston Rockets he put out a tweet basically just saying that he was standing with the protesters in Hong Kong. And, because the NBA has a huge stake in China, especially the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets are huge over there. They're like the biggest team there because of Yao Ming. Right. So I think that's the team that kind of made the NBA possible there, right? So they have all this Houston Rockets stuff everywhere. But immediately after that, I mean, can we play the news article talking about that? It should be the next one, I think. if I put it in order.
Yao Ming.
Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. One tweet from Daryl Morey. He's the general manager of the Houston Rockets. Just one guy. It was not an official message from the NBA. It was not from a team. It wasn't even from a famous player like LeBron James. One individual in his free time tweeted supporting democratic values. And the response from China has become an international incident. All of this putting the NBA and its commissioner, Adam Silver, in the hot seat. Initially, Adam Silver got a lot of criticism that the NBA didn't back Daryl Morey enough. The NBA didn't admonish China for being human rights violators. And now today, a very different thing is happening. China is saying it's not enough. On state-run TV, the Chinese put out a statement. We strongly resent and oppose Adam Silver's remarks on supporting Morey's rights of freedom of expression. Our view is that any speech that challenges national sovereignty and social stability does not fall into the scope of freedom of speech. So just think about this for a second. First of all, the NBA is in the hot seat because they have been very outspoken on a number of social issues, whether it's about the bathroom bill or Steve Kerr criticizing the president. The same could be said about LeBron James and Steph Curry. And in this instance, they're rather silent. So some critics are saying, well, now that it's going to cost you money, you're not saying anything. On the other, you've got every CEO of any global company suddenly worried that any possible employee could send out a tweet and
it's all good.
It's all good.
That was the end of it anyway. Right. So basically that, that's what it goes to. So the NBA then was freaked out because he made this simple tweet on Twitter, you know what I mean, about just it was just a picture, I think too, and all of that created it sparked this whole thing in China. I think the next clip I have there is actually going into what China's reaction to all of this, and they basically started like taking shoes out of stores. They started like covering up all the NBA advertisements. They like went right to work on that shit.
Oh, Matt, but it's really ramped up this week.
That's right. I mean, the trade war's been going on for over about a year now, and then we have this situation with the NBA and China that happened this week. And it really sort of shines a light on companies that do business in China are going to have to keep grappling with this idea that China is a different form of government, a different form of a country that has different ideas about free speech and how it regulates things. And we're going to see more and more of this, where companies are getting pulled in, and they're going to have to make a decision about, do we focus on the bottom line, or do we stick to our principles? And you saw with the NBA, they're kind of towing the line here, talking about giving people the right to express their ideals, but while also trying to maintain a business in China.
So, Matt, two different stakeholders here. At home in the United States, the likes of Nike, incredibly progressive. Their stakeholder, the consumer base. In China, the stakeholder's the state. They know they've got to please the state to be able to operate there. Isn't it just inevitable that this is going to get more and more tense, that this tension is just not going to go away?
Yeah, I mean, Nike's a company that we would think that this is going to happen to in a much bigger way at some point. They have tons of athletes that are willing to speak their mind. I mean, who's not to say tomorrow LeBron James comes out with a pro Hong Kong shirt? And what kind of headaches does that create for Nike going forward?
That's not going to happen. He got the call.
Nike is very much trying to portray themselves as progressive. The whole Colin Kaepernick campaign, supporting him, giving him a platform. So what happens when China says, you need to stop LeBron James from doing such a thing? And how does that affect their business in China, where they have a huge business that's...
Well, we learned that.
So it's a conundrum that...
we can stop it. So we learned what the answer to that is. Mm-hmm. Once they find out that it's going to affect their bottom line, they shut up real quick.
Right. So to go back what you were saying, so initially they didn't have an issue. The NBA didn't have an issue with what the general manager from the Houston Rockets said.
Right.
It's until China said, we have a problem, then they began to...
Right. China started pulling stuff.
Right.
Started canceling appearances because they were playing preseason games there. So they started canceling stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Started canceling appearances, started removing shoes and like covering things up. And then it was like, okay. And then that's where you get the James Harden clip.
Right.
Who is...
And clearly they're saying they're against any form of freedom of speech if it hurts.
If it talks about their government.
Right.
Yeah.
which is something.
Which, if you're somebody who woke and you're speaking up for social injustice and injustice anywhere,
right?
Why would you then be silent during that time?
Because you can only be woke when it benefits your pockets,
right?
You know what I mean?
So that's what's happening here,
right?
Is we're seeing that the NBA players, the people who are saying
they're frauds,
right?
They're frauds. All of these people are frauds. And the thing that we're pointing out here is that when you allow yourself to be totally swept up in the hysteria of it, and you become a part of the cause. I remember when the when Nike decided to get behind Colin Kaepernick finally, and they did the whole advertisement. Look, can we play that real quick? I think it might. Well, I think James Harden was next, but we could play the Nike advertisement, which might be right under that. If you see Colin Kaepernick's giant afro.
I'm not sure which one you mean here. I don't see Colin Kaepernick.
Okay.
I thought I saw it in there.
Which one is it? I don't see. I guess I didn't put it up in there. Okay, never mind. So just play the James Harden one. So this is where we were at right after that.
You know, we love China. We love playing there. I know for both of us individually, we go there once or twice a year. They show us the most support and love. So we appreciate them as a fan base, and we love everything they're about, and we appreciate the support that they give us individually and as an organization.
So you could see that, like, right after the general manager got reprimanded and they started asking the players were told, like, this is messing up your money, and the thing was, nobody had heard from anyone up until this point, like, what is your opinion on this?
Including the manager, right? Nobody asked the manager, really, what does he feel?
Right.
Or why is he saying what he says?
Right. And you could tell immediately by their reaction that they didn't want to say anything that was going to mess up their money. So that's where people started saying,
well, his language right there, we love China, we everything.
I mean, you see his body language, he's like, he doesn't even want to really be answering this question, but he's saying what he feels like he has to say. We love everything about them, really? You love the fact that they're, like, rounding people up and putting them in concentration camps.
Right,
like,
right.
That's the hypocrisy of it. Let me see if I can find this.
What's AOC saying about all this?
I haven't heard anything from her about this.
And you're not going to hear anything about that.
Right. Oh, here it is.
Not when they put real people in real concentration camps.
So let's go. So before we play this Nike clip. Why is it doing that?
No, that was me.
Okay. Before we play this Nike clip, so then after that, after their reactions, all the players were kind of like being they were kind of being weird about the whole thing. So one of the reporters, it was actually a CNN reporter, which was hilarious. It was a CNN sports reporter. I didn't know they had a sports like wing or anything, but apparently she went to one of the press conferences and she tries to ask the question to James Harden. She's like, since you guys are pretty much so outspoken about a lot of political things, don't you think, like, you should have something to say about this? It was something along those lines, and they just shut her down. Like, we're not asking these questions. I think we have a clip on that too. It should be there. Let me see if I could tell you which one it is. Yeah. too many clips. Well, let's just go to what LeBron James's reaction was to the whole thing, because Moan sent us this.
Talk
this
about
morning.
The political side. I think it's a very delicate situation, very sensitive situation, and for me personally, I think if any of you guys know me or always cover me, you guys know when I speak about something, I speak about something I'm very knowledgeable about, something that hits home for me, something I'm very passionate about. And I felt like with this particular situation, it was something that not only was I, not informed enough about. I just felt like it was something that not only myself and my teammates or our organization had enough information to even talk about it at that point in time, and we still feel the same way.
How do you think the league handled the situation overall?
I'm not sure. I'm not here to judge how the league handled the situation. I just think that, when you're misinformed or you're not educated about something, and I'm just talking about, the tweet itself, you never know the ramifications that can happen.
So he's saying that the GM was misinformed. Yeah.
Not only did for our league, but for all of us in America, for people
they ask him
in
about
China
that
as well. And sometimes you have to think through.
Oh, is that it?
No, it's
Oh, the internet's crazy. Okay. Yeah. So LeBron, the whole time, LeBron doesn't want to answer.
He's just dodging
Yeah,
it.
he's dodging it. He's saying like.
So basically, the NBA has told the team owners and the owners have basically told.
Now go to. Did you see the ad that I put up in there? It should be. I know I posted it in there. Unless Facebook keeps deleting it, because I'm pretty sure I posted it in there.
I saw the Kaepernick thing.
Yeah,
I saw it in there.
Yeah, Facebook might be deleting it.
Okay, I got a no signal from Wirecast over here for the internet, and Facebook also is not giving me any internet right now.
We mentioned China too many times.
They know what we're talking about.
China was like, shut it down.
Shut it down.
We have a 4 China word permit.
Yeah, we're frozen right now. Broadcast interrupted. They ain't playing, bro.
YouTube too? Let's check YouTube.
They ain't playing. Jake said their real principles are based off of change money bag emoji.
Looks like YouTube's still live. Oh no, now it's buffering. So the internet is
off?
I don't see it. I do not see it right now.
You don't see our internet at all?
Mm-hmm. Okay, hold on. So
Wait,
I have green again on the laptop.
Okay.
It looks like we moved.
Okay, maybe we're live again. Okay.
We might be live.
I think we're live, guys. I think China's
China's okay.
China is asshole. Yo, that's crazy.
Donald
man.
Trump don't like China.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Junior's watching.
Yeah. On the young, you on the Young Lion stream?
Yeah. No, I'm on Jatan.
Oh, okay. What's up, Junior?
What's up, bro?
We're talking about your people in the NBA and their. What are we looking at?
And how they're handling my people in China.
Yeah. So do we have internet back on the iPad?
Maybe.
Maybe. We did. We talked about China way too much. They were like,
yeah, let's try to make a stop.
Okay, I think I do. What am I looking for?
Okay, let's see if the Nike ad is back up on there. Should be. I know I posted that shit. But if the thing is, if Facebook is taking it down from there, then if we play it, they're gonna block our stream.
Yeah.
I still don't see Kaepernick.
Okay, so let's just forget it. Well, the bottom, let's just talk about the ad.
Yeah, okay.
So the whole ad is like this ethereal music, and it's supposed to be very emotional, and it's supposed to be like standing behind Colin Kaepernick, and he's going on about like be bigger than your sport, you know, get out there. And there's a montage of like athletes doing stuff, and LeBron James is out there talking politically, and you know what I mean. And then he has this quotable that's like. I forget what it was. It was like whatever that meme was speaking about. So, what does it say? Oh, believe in something even if it means losing everything. Right. So now, can you show that meme of LeBron? Because it was a meme. It wasn't a meme. It was the advertisement, the Nike advertisement with Colin Kaepernick's face, where it said "Believe in something even if it means losing everything." And it was like Nike, just do it under it. So people made this meme of LeBron James based off of what he said about China, which is believe in something unless.
It pisses China off.
Yeah.
Because it's like people don't understand that, like the whole idea of and I remember seeing it when that ad came out. Like I saw people on Facebook, on Twitter just saying like, "Oh, that's what's up. I'm gonna go get 5 pairs of Nikes today."
Right.
It's like yo, you are retarded. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. We don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
How it really works. Yeah.
Like Nike's doing this to get your money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't really believe in this.
So what do you think? You think, in your opinion, you think that the owners or the Adam Silver? Adam Silver. You think how do you think this happened?
I think it was a collective, because if you notice in the press conference, if you watch the whole thing, LeBron James talks about how Adam Silver came from Tokyo and flew all the way to Shanghai to meet with them.
Right.
And they had this big meeting
So
with the
clearly
players and the
said,
owners.
yeah.
So someone said, we need to put this fire out.
Right.
You know, and he flew out there to try to put the fire out.
Right.
So I think it was like a collective thing, like all of the owners and the players, and we're like, we're not gonna let him mess up our money. So what are we gonna do? And then they asked him about the how the GM would be handled, basically, like what was his punishment, and he was like, well, we'll just keep that behind closed doors. Like he don't want to get into it, you know.
Right.
So
they wanted blood.
Clearly something is going on there.
Right.
How will he be punished?
Yeah. Right.
It's not China.
Right.
Well,
which kind of tells you there.
Yeah.
You know what they're aiming at, because Luke Thomas, the guy I sent you from MMA.com,
right.
He talked about the Washington Wizards, the NBA team.
Yeah.
How they said that they were not going to suppress any China protesters at the game, and there were video of them removing protesters from a game where they had signs saying,
Free Hong Kong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There was people wearing like Free Hong Kong shirts that are getting kicked out of games.
Getting kicked out of games because they don't want the camera panning around.
Right.
And
they don't want China to see that.
They don't want China to see that.
Right.
Right. So they're clearly trying to control the narrative.
Right.
Right.
You talked about when you went to see that play.
Right.
Yeah. Shenyun, which is it's beautiful. It's dancing and they do smoke and it's like really creative.
Mm-hmm.
But so there was different scenes in there, and one of the scenes was these religious people. I took it as, you know, they had Bibles with them, and it was showing the Chinese government, you know, suppressing them and locking them up. So before the show, they said, please, do not videotape this concert. If it gets out, you know, their lives could be, you know, in danger.
Right.
Because of how the Chinese government is.
Right.
You know.
And they could have their whole play probably banned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so there was some political stuff in the play that was showing the authoritarian nature of the government and what they're doing to religious people. And they can't let China see that, so they had to tell y'all, like, don't film this, don't put it up online.
This is from the American. This is
right. This is in America.
Right. So basically, we're saying, please don't offend. We don't want this to get back to China because they'll be offended and there could be repercussions for this. Because you can't tell me that the basketball players don't see these skirmishes happening in the you know what I mean?
Yeah. Of course.
So they have to understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
So for them to pretend that they don't know, I'm not educated enough. Come on.
And then to say you're not educated enough, is that an excuse?
Right.
Like you're making money out in China. You're there.
It's common sense. Everybody knows that companies from the United States ship their stuff to get made in China.
Right.
Why? Because it's cheaper, and they don't have no type of labor laws or anything like that, and they treat their people like shit. You're clearly you get a shoe deal. You're turning the other eye. You know what the hell's going on.
Turning the other eye,
or turning the other cheek, or you don't want to see. I'm always fucking lines up.
You mix turning a blind eye, and turning the other cheek.
Yeah.
Turning the other eye.
That was the Chinese. That was the Chinese version.
You're racist against yourself.
Turning the other eye.
My friends know me. My friends, ever since I was young, I fuck up lines all the time, but they know what I mean.
Right.
But you know,
and that's what it is. I think the part of it is the owners have said to them, "Do you want to mess up your money?"
And Nike too.
I'm sure,
because a lot of these guys have shoe deals with Nike,
right, so
and Nike's factories are all there.
Right,
yeah.
I'm not educated enough.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not passionate enough.
Right, I'm not passionate enough.
All of them, Nike, Adidas.
But think about it. Would they let that be an excuse for, say, a white player who chooses not to speak on Black Lives Matter, or not to speak on, if a police shooting happens, or if they're playing, like say if some crime happens or some police shooting happens in a city where a white player plays, but they're like, I'm not educated enough to speak on this, so I just kind of they would drag them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But there's no money. There's no.
But what I'm saying is, so there is a double standard.
Of course,
there.
no,
You know
absolutely,
what I mean? Yeah.
absolutely.
Like you can't just use that as an excuse, and they wouldn't accept that excuse from someone else.
Right.
So for you to be making money in a country like that, making tons of money out there, they were showing somebody's, I forget which player it was, who sneaker doesn't even sell here, but they still made millions of dollars because it's like the top selling sneaker in China.
Mm-hmm.
Some player probably on the Rockets, but. That's the thing. Like when you make that kind of money in those type of environments, it's your responsibility to be knowledgeable about how they're treating the people there.
Right.
If that's what you're gonna do. So I want to go to the next clip, under the LeBron James clip, because he kind of speaks on that a little bit.
I just remembered what I wanted to talk about when Jamie said double standards.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
It was I actually saw, it was an article. Jeremy Lin, he wore dreads one time.
Oh, cultural appropriation.
Yeah, he wore dreads, and then this other NBA player, I forgot his name.
I remember that.
He said something about it's kind of messed up that he's wearing dreads, and then Jeremy Lin tweeted something back at him like
about his tattoos,
about his Chinese tattoos. That's what I wanted to talk to Jamie.
But it's hilarious. It's hilarious. He got him. Oh yeah, this is it here.
This is here to me is, and I say this with sympathy because these guys aren't in their 50s and 60 years old. They're young. I don't think they fully understand that when you accept all that money from China, there are strings attached to it. When your business interests are so connected to China, there are strings attached to it. And at the end of the day, as much money as LeBron makes from Nike, he can't get crossways with them. And so he has to stay on message for what's good for Nike. And what's good for Nike is pleasing China.
But the heart of it is we shouldn't be asking.
Yeah. Okay. So now, and then he goes on to expand on that. There's another clip underneath of that. I don't know if it's the very next one of him expanding on that too. I want to play that one.
This is the next one.
Oh, that's the Nike commercial?
Is that the commercial?
Yeah, play it.
Don't become the best basketball player on the planet.
Yeah, this is it.
Be bigger than basketball. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything.
See the music.
So
beautiful.
don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
Like this is, I love that because it shows like so much wizardry in advertising. Like it's to get you to believe that they really mean it and they really care about these things. And like they don't give a shit about none of that. They're just trying to convince you.
And
to
they're capitalizing off of that too,
right?
Off of that,
Exactly, and they just want to find more and more ways for you to spend money.
But that's
with
what's happening here. I think Whitlock nails it. Like you don't realize that you're tethered, you're tied to that company.
Yep.
And you, even though you're making millions for them, if you veer off the path of what they want the narrative to be,
right,
they're gonna cut that money.
Right.
And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing that these guys really worship the money.
That's what it is.
That's
so
why they're not saying
further
anything.
down. It's further down right before the.
You ain't
CNN
make enough
thing.
money yet, though.
Exactly.
These
guys are already rich.
To care about human life.
Here we go.
And I say this with sympathy because these guys aren't in their 50s
No,
or
that's
60
the same
years
one,
old.
right?
Yeah, man. These dudes already made millions. Like if they truly cared about people and their woke culture.
I think the same one is up there twice because I played two different ones.
Okay, let me put the other one up. But yeah, so I mean, he makes a point also in that where he was talking, and he talks about how because a lot of these people are always try to compare athletes who speak out on things to Muhammad Ali, Jackie Robinson, people like this, and he says like
Jim Brown,
yeah,
era,
But he says he makes a valid point that it's like back in that day. Like Muhammad Ali was accountable to the Nation of Islam. You know what I mean? So he had to stand up for that.
Right.
Jackie Robinson.
And the truth is, he had an actual belief.
But if you introduced a multi-million-dollar Nike deal to Muhammad Ali back then, he might not have made that same choice.
No,
you know what I'm
not,
saying? So that's the difference. Like you're comparing guys.
Did they do endorsements back then?
They really didn't, especially not for blacks.
No,
but
the championship was the thing.
Right.
Yeah, the belt was the thing.
So it's like you're asking, you're introducing the element of money that is going to trump all of that now. Because and we're also taught that like it's good business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, maybe that's what we need to question is what sports have turned into.
Right.
And what it has turned these athletes and quote unquote celebrities and social justice warrior. And they can speak on things because they're not only speaking on sports, they're speaking on politics, race, religion, culture. And do they even have the capacity to understand all of those things?
But that's the thing. They only speak on it when it
when it's convenient.
Right, when it's convenient.
So
exactly.
Because at the end of the day, they're really worshiping the dollar, but they're trying to tell you to be authentic. Look, because we're authentic, but they're not authentic.
Right. Let me see. I'm gonna try to post it. See if this is the right one. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, so now it's gonna be right above the one you just saw. Once it posts, it's up. So he's going into, their understanding of what they're dealing with China. And this goes back to what the dude that was on Joe Rogan is talking about, and China's ultimate goal when they deal with a company and what they have to make sure is in place before they, will sign off on something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron has flown around the world and been here and been there at 34 to fully understand what that China money really means and what China's influence really means and what you can and can't say. And again, I go back to the People's Republic of China. Look it up anywhere, what communist regimes have done. They crucify America as racist to cover up their own racism and brutality. It's a strategy. And so now when I look at the guys tied to Nike and tied to China. They're out here stirring the pot about American racism and how unfair America is. And why are their companies allowing them to do that? It's good for China. It's good for the communist regime. American culture is under attack, and we've allowed the people attacking us to get knee-deep in institutional icons that have established the American culture. They have their hooks all the way in, and it's changing American culture.
Okay.
Now,
I usually don't agree with that dude, yo.
But now go back to what we were watching before and think about it. Like, what how much does that benefit China if they can get a LeBron James and a Colin Kaepernick and these athletes to continue to sow division in American society?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
So of course they're going to support that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he makes a valid point there that these regimes, that's their job.
Right.
To get us to hate each other so that they can prop themselves up as the better society.
Right.
You know what I mean? And make us seem like we're just totally disorganized. Like every time we have some type of issue going on here, they're blasting that all over their news and saying, "Look at America."
Right.
This
But
is
you
why
can't.
we're
But
better.
then you can't condemn them.
Right.
Yeah.
No, totally. You can't even go on Facebook. You can't go on Twitter. You can't none of you don't have access to any of those things because they don't want you, getting information unless they give it to you.
And let's be clear for a second. Everything that we're talking about China is known.
Right.
The way they treat their people, the way they handle
It's
things.
known but a lot of people don't care. Like a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
know
Don't
what
know
I
or
mean?
don't care. Probably mostly
I think
don't
a lot
care.
of people don't know. Like they just
they
they're
don't know.
too the dude was saying on Joe Rogan, like they're too distracted. And
That is a major. That's
a
true.
major point. Like
Watching
right? I love the way he put it that it's all versions of porn, right?
yeah.
Even when you look at like that's news porn. When you look at Love and Hip Hop, that's ghetto porn, drama porn. You know what I mean? When you look at
Ghetto porn.
it's what it is. It's like I want to be able to watch some ghetto shit for an hour. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to like get entertainment by watching people be ghetto for an hour. You know what I mean? That's what it is. The Housewives. I want to watch bitches argue for an hour. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. So it just becomes different versions of porn to keep you distracted, so you're not paying attention to real issues or caring about these things. Stiz found out who it was. It's Stephon Marbury, who sneakers is like top selling in China.
Oh shit.
Which is crazy. So yeah, like they have a huge incentive to not say anything and to not rock the boat there because think about it. His whole
Now why can't we question him here? You know what I mean? Why is the news media not question him?
They were like, look at the LeBron James press conference.
Yeah,
that was here.
Yeah.
That was when he got back. But they
was just dodging them.
They still don't want to answer the questions because it could get back to them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it ain't about it being in China.
So in other words, my handlers are watching. I got to be careful.
Right.
Because I bow down and worship the mighty dollar.
That's what it is. People are confused, and what we were talking about before the podcast is what you wanted to touch on is that the problem is that we're allowing celebrities and athletes and people in stardom to dictate to us what and shape our way of thinking,
of course,
and guide us in what's moral and what's right.
Right. They're the ones that are setting the tone for how we question things morally, spiritually,
right?
Because they have first dibs on the mic.
Right.
And usually people want to hear what they have to say because they've done whatever they've done athletically or movie-wise.
So it makes you want to worship them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then in that, we create this environment where they can now shape our entire culture.
Right.
The same thing. That's the same thing they do with the news outlets.
Right.
Whatever news outlet that you use, that's your what you're taking, the information that you're taking.
I'm glad you said that because we want to shift right now. We talked about China and the NBA. We did that whole thing. I want to get on to the next topic, which was this week the big story.
Hold on. Before we we got to play that one clip.
Yes, please play the clip of Moan's cousin talking about China. Talking about
he's protesting, but
he's protesting. It's funny though.
It's funny.
It actually became a meme. A lot of people were
this?
using it. The dude that said Trump China is asshole.
That's right. That's a racist. My last name is Chang.
His last name, he has a Chinese name.
It is in my ancestry.
Yeah. If Pol Pot got a hold of him, he would be dead right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's it right there. This is hilarious.
Hong Kong no more to stand with China. We need independence.
Yep. And what's your message to? Have you seen Donald Trump? Do you think he should step in?
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.
China is asshole.
Yo, that is you could not no one could satire that any better than that was.
Dude,
right there.
Trump, man. You see, he's the only one that's brave enough to stand against.
I was saying
empire.
I was saying that earlier, and I was talking to you guys about this earlier too. Is that like even crazy Alex Jones has been talking about China's tactics
they have
for years,
but that was all steeped under conspiracy theory.
Right.
So
but that's the thing about him is that like he tends to be right on certain things.
He is,
but all his other craziness just clouds it and makes him seem like a nut
But a lot
job.
of people have been saying this about China, that once China gets a foothold economically, and what they're going to do, you know, in terms of what they're doing to the citizens, it's all coming to pass.
Right.
You know, we're seeing it.
And we need to be mindful of it so that we don't give our country over to them.
Right.
Which is what they're doing.
Goes back to what you're saying about the celebrities, though, because now we're seeing that these quote unquote woke people that are about social justice, when
they're frauds.
Right. They're frauds. They're phonies.
Yeah.
Because this is an easy layup, right?
Right.
So
easy layup. People being killed.
Right.
People being in concentration camps.
Right.
You know, trying to get their independence.
Right. The NBA should be boycotting China.
Right.
Not the opposite way around.
Exactly.
You know?
I heard they're like, I don't know if this is rumors, but they're forcing Muslims to eat pork. Did you hear that?
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised. Dude, I heard like there's actual reports of them doing organ harvesting. From people.
Yep, I heard that too.
Yeah, like it's crazy over there right now.
Right. And for those of you that don't know, China is going around like Africa, and it's like literally buying up land.
Dude, I saw it firsthand when I was in Kenya. Like
you said they were putting up lights.
Dude, they were paving roads,
right?
Putting up traffic signals, street signs.
But it's disguised as we are coming in to help this community,
right?
But in lieu of
they're making deals with the government,
right. So it's being disguised as we're helping,
right?
You know.
But think about all the technology that they're putting in, and what that allows them to, because Chinese technology. Like you heard of the Huawei phone system situation?
Yes. Yeah.
So Huawei phones are supposed to be like better than iPhones. They're supposed to be like.
Oh yeah, Joe. Those are the phones that
he's talked about it on there
Joe Rogan
a few times.
Yeah.
But
are they better or are they?
I don't know. I've never experienced it, but the problem with them is that they've been saying that the Chinese government is using them to surveil everyone.
Of course they are.
Of course they are.
You know, our government's doing that, right? My phone.
I just looked in James' phone and can tell he's a contractor because
he looking in your phone now, bro. Right? What's going on?
You are Chinese.
He showed me a video. He's stupid. That's racist.
I got one-liners, man.
No, the ad was a spray painter.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true, of course.
Yeah.
You know that's so gonna happen.
Well, basically, the Huawei phones were taking it to the next level. So, and I remember the White House, saying that they were advising people not to purchase those phones.
Right.
Because of
this government, they're spying on you.
Yeah,
don't buy them.
Right. Right. Only let us do that. We're the only ones allowed.
How do you know? Because we're spying on you.
Yeah, right. But we're doing it because we love you. Right. But yeah. So, why do we get on that?
You're talking about the Huawei and
the Chinese. When I was in Kenya, the driver's taking us around, and it was funny because we're driving through streets. The traffic there is ridiculously insane.
Right. It's very old world.
It's old world, and none of them. So there's traffic signals everywhere: red lights, yellow lights.
But nobody follows.
No one's following that shit. They're just literally the driving out there is crazy. It's like you always think you're about to crash. Everyone's driving like so fast into each other, then they slow down, and then they.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
They
there's
seem to figure it
there's
out.
bikes weaving through everyone, and
Right.
dudes selling shit when you stop.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. But so I asked the dude, I'm like, no one follows traffic signs out here.
Right.
He was like, oh, the Chinese came in and put all that here.
Right.
We never seen this stuff before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was telling me that they've been coming in there, buying up everything, building stuff, building infrastructure. I was like, and back then this was like 2017.
Yeah.
So like I didn't know any of this.
Right.
So I was just like, wow.
And that's happening all over Africa.
Yeah.
Now imagine when the Chinese have to give them medicine.
Right.
Boy, oh boy.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
These kids are dying. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know why. We don't know why. Well, we better take this land from you. Yeah.
You're not gonna need this.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. But they found a new way to colonize without going to war because they can't.
And that's what
do
it
it
is.
War. They can't do it with war.
Right. And I think that's what people need to understand is that there is no more land to be discovered.
Right.
There's no more nothing. The world, it's everything is known.
Right.
But there is another way to colonialize, and it's through economics,
Mhm.
and that's what you're seeing. You know what I mean? Technology and economics, and that's how they have to do it.
Right.
They have to rebuild their empire, and they're going to use that to do it. First, it was cheap labor. It was a communism, then cheap labor, and
Right.
now, you know.
So think about that tactic. They said, we're going to make all of your shit for super cheap so that you are now indebted to us.
Right. And it worked.
And then if we ever want to, now you'll be dependent on us, basically.
Right.
You'll be dependent on us.
Right.
So now if we ever want to take it away, you'll lose your whole business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you see it because that's what you're seeing with these athletes. Like I said, when it's time to speak up, they're not really speaking up.
Right.
So they're speaking up on things that they care about. Yes, that's true. Yeah, you care about it, but you really don't care about everything you're saying you care about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The idea of I care about social justice and I care about injustice wherever it happens. No, you don't. Because there's some injustice happening here and we're
Right.
pointing you to it and you're like, oh, I don't know anything about that.
Right.
Well, do you want to learn anything about it?
I don't have
no,
enough.
not really.
I don't have enough. I don't have YouTube.
Right. I don't have enough information. I've never seen Google before. Yeah.
And if you're traveling there, why not take a peek?
Dude, I'm sure they've seen it. I'm sure they know about it.
Yeah.
They're on Twitter all the time.
Right.
That shit is everywhere on Twitter. Because every time I open up Twitter, there's a bunch of stories about it. Balroop just checked in. What's up, Roop? We're talking about your Asian people. But the ones
He's like,
next
what
to you.
the hell?
He's like, don't connect me with that.
Right.
We was actually talking about this at soccer on Sunday. We were talking about Saturday. We were talking about it with him. He was like, they need to just come to India because there's 2 billion people there too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, they're poor though. They ain't got that money. They ain't got money for sneakers like you do. This dude's sneaker collection is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a whole closet full of sneakers.
Hey, you need a custom closet, man. I'm your guy.
Yeah, he does need a custom closet.
Mr. Bill.
He's about to have a baby too.
Oh, he doesn't want a custom closet. Then.
Yeah, his baby's coming in November.
Oh.
No.
Uh-oh.
I think he said either the end of October or early November. Yeah.
I'm about to be a dad.
Having a little boy.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Mike's on. What's up, Mike?
Mike who?
Mike Walker.
Oh, what's up, Mike?
The drummer.
What's up, Mike? I see you tomorrow at rehearsal.
Let the drummer get
Better not be late.
Better be ready for Freddie because he's coming through tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, Freddie gonna be there tomorrow at rehearsal. So I want to move on to, unless anybody got anything to say about the NBA or China or anything, we'll address that in the chat. But otherwise, I want to move on to this CNN thing, Project Veritas. So they teased it this week that they were going to be exposing CNN, and I kind of was like skeptical because I'm like, I had a feeling it was just going to be what we already know. That CNN,
what we already know.
Well, most people already know who pay attention. It's like, yo, all the news is about making money. All the news is they're all corporations.
Yeah,
it's just like we're seeing with Nike and the NBA.
Yeah.
Like they try to pretend like they're these ethical, like.
Do people really know that though? Do you think people really know that?
I don't think.
I don't think so.
I think people are starting to see it more now.
Yeah.
But I don't think people really know that, and I think that's why we talk about it a lot.
Right.
Because we're trying to make people see that like.
I personally feel I don't think people know or understand the source of the information.
Right.
I think people just hear it, they listen to it, and they forget about it.
Yeah.
They don't
right.
really,
because it came out of someone they're familiar with. Like when you get tricked into believing like, oh, this is a friend of mine that I see every night on TV. Right. You know, Don Lemon.
Right.
He's telling me that everything's racist, so it must be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And imagery and association. There's a lot of things that happen that cause people to kind of like, you essentially believe what you're being told.
Right.
You're not going to question that.
Yeah. But I think And to be fair, like the people, like even Project Veritas coming out and exposing this, no one's going to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the people they're not going to talk about it. They're not going to talk about it on CNN. They're not going to talk about it on Fox News is going to talk about it for days.
Right. Yeah.
But they're never going to watch that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. The people that you're right.
So
you're
it's
right,
going to be
And
only
even
the
on-
ones that already know about it are
Right.
going to know.
And
About
on YouTube, they put that exclamation where it's not valid or something like that.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they always do that dumb shit. Yeah. Yeah, it's like they want to try to like create this narrative like, oh, this is you're going to see this, but don't believe it.
Mike said the average person does not know ... Y'all made me aware. Real talk.
Oh, that's what's up, Mike. Yeah, see? And Mike just had a birthday too, right? Yeah. Happy birthday, Mike. What did you turn? 41? I think he said he was 41.
41?
Yeah. So 41 years old, you should know some shit, Mike. It's
Come
unacceptable.
on.
It's unacceptable, my guy. Come on.
You got kids.
Come on.
See, they'll wish you happy birthday and then talk crap about you.
He's been around
It's
us
the
long enough.
Shaitan way,
He
you know
know,
what I mean?
it is the Shaitan way. He knows that. He is. Trust me, Mike is 100% aware about that.
This burger's good, but it's not the best I've ever had.
Yeah.
Screw you.
Yeah, but so the fact that Project Veritas. So if for those that don't know the story, or don't even know who Project Veritas is, James O'Keefe is the guy who started it, and he's been doing these exposés of a lot of companies. He's done it on Facebook, Google, Pinterest, like a lot of organizations, the DNC, like, and the stuff that he's exposed is crazy, but
Right.
you won't hear about it on the news because they don't want to give power to what he's doing because they're really afraid
He's
of
actually
it.
doing journalism.
Right.
Yeah.
And what he's doing
Not
is
investigation.
old school journalism
Right.
where he'll get people to work for the Democratic National Committee and they'll go undercover for years sometimes.
Right.
And they will get footage of people saying stuff in meetings. They'll work their way up the chain, get
Right.
into like these meetings with
Right.
high up people,
Right.
and then get behind the scenes footage. He did it with Planned Parenthood where they were talking about what they do with the babies and like, selling body parts and stuff like that.
Their words.
Their words.
He's not twisting anything.
Nothing is
Right.
taken out of context.
Right.
It's just footage of them in these meetings talking about what they do.
If you want to know what these people are about, this is what they're saying.
This is what they are to you in public. This is who they are behind closed doors.
Right. Yes.
And that's all he does.
And that's what the news should be.
That's what it should be, exposing that. And so, but he's been completely demonized because he does that.
Right.
And a lot of people are afraid of being exposed, so they have to like make him into the enemy. That's what the news does now.
Right.
If someone is coming out that could be a threat to them, the first tactic is, okay, make them totally discredited.
You got to destroy this person.
Yeah. So with this CNN thing that he just did, there was someone who was working at CNN for 2 years. This person was a far lefty Bernie supporter who actually ended up voting Libertarian in the last election because once Bernie lost the nominee, he didn't like Hillary, so he chose to go with the Libertarian candidate just so he didn't vote for Trump.
Right.
So after 2 years of working at CNN, he basically got fed up with the culture there of everything is about Trump all the time. It's like that's all they want to talk about.
As per the CEO,
right?
Who has a vendetta against Trump.
Right. So this is what we find out. So that he, instead of quitting, he reaches out to James O'Keefe and starts wearing cameras and going into these morning meetings where they do conference calls. He goes into a bunch of meetings with like the people that are in charge of editing and all that stuff. And he starts getting information that they can use.
Right.
It's all stuff that those of us who know better know already. It's that their agenda is, okay, Trump is making us money right now. Jeff Zucker, who is the owner of or the CEO of CNN, is totally obsessed with Trump, which goes back to their days together at The Apprentice. And he, the people that work there are saying this. These are their words, not mine.
Right.
Yeah.
And that all he wants to do is put out stories about Trump. They'll be pitching other things. They'll be pitching they want to get off of this political stuff that everyone keeps talking about, the Russiagate stuff, all of this now Ukraine impeachment thing. All he wants to talk about is impeachment, and he'll talk about it in these meetings where he's like, no, the focus is impeachment. You know what I mean? So it's showing you, because CNN prides itself as saying like fair and balanced news. They don't lean either way. Yeah, that's how they brand themselves.
I've never heard that.
You've never heard that?
I've never heard that.
That's how they brand themselves. They do not admit to being left leaning at all.
Yeah.
They say they're fair and balanced.
Okay.
So that's
Is that Fox?
No, CNN.
Oh, I thought it was Fox that said that.
CNN too.
Okay.
Fox probably says it too. Yeah. They all be lying.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real.
Fox admit that they're
no, the slogan
conservative.
Fair and balanced,
Conservative.
Yeah, but
Fox admits that
they admit that they're conservative.
They're conservative news. Yeah. But I know CNN doesn't admit that they're Democratic news.
No. That they definitely don't admit that.
But what he did expose that in these things that they clearly are left leaning. You know.
Yeah.
Which so is MSNBC and most of the outlets are.
I mean, there's videos of I forgot who the anchor is. They were talking about Biden, and that's not what he says when he's doing the news part. He said something behind closed doors. Oh yeah, we knew I don't know the exact words. It was something about Joe Biden that
Yeah.
But he never not once said that about it.
Right.
When he's on camera.
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it is when you make your business model about we have to bring people news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you gotta constantly invent shit to talk about.
Make it exciting.
You gotta constantly and as soon as Trump came down them golden escalators in 2015,
which the Simpsons
predicted
by the way.
I think a lot of these news outlets, MSNBC and CNN especially, even Fox News, they saw a jump in their viewership.
Right.
And they realized we got to ride this.
When he started speaking, I started saying, at first no, because everyone thought it was a joke, including myself.
Right.
Me too.
But when he started speaking and they were getting response, I think that's what happened.
Right.
They were like, wait a minute. This is good.
Once what was that first, was it a press conference or a rally where he started talking about the border?
I think it was that. I think it was whatever first press conference he said where he called them rapists and invaders or whatever they are. And people were like, whoa.
Yeah, and they said, oh my God, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. But I know that this election cycle gave them their best ratings. And afterwards, all the outrage, all of the protests, and then Trump Russiagate, all that stuff gave them some great ratings. So they were trying to ride that. They're still trying to ride that wave. Now, so if you notice, like every time one of those stories dies or becomes nothing, they have to create a new one.
Right. As much as they hate him, they love him because it's good for business.
But what they don't realize is they're also giving him these elections.
Oh yeah,
because they're giving him free press.
Yeah.
I think whether or not they did or not, like I'm starting to question even like who, like if they care, because
Right.
Trump is good TV,
Right.
So
Yeah.
even if they're like, oh, by giving him all this press, like he's going to get reelected again, like that's better for them because
That's what
then
I'm
it's
saying.
4 more years
Right,
of Trump, who is good TV.
Trump's bad, right?
You know, like-
Orange Man bad
Orange
news,
Man bad.
24 hours a day. I think you're right. I think it's more about
Like,
like
they
I
don't-
said,
they don't care. You know, like-
they need to find a way to keep making money,
Right.
and that's the
As much
bottom.
as they
However it
hate him,
pans,
Right.
it's
Right.
fine.
And I want to show that clip that you sent me because we watched this many times before. It's under the Project Veritas thing. We don't need to watch that. So it's the one, the clip about CNN fake news. So this goes back to the 90s.
Right.
We saw this
that shit
clip.
is hilarious.
When they, like, cause CNN has had a long history of
Yes,
just
this is the propaganda of war.
but
in
it's
the 90s.
it's literally them trying to create content to fill all the time that they need to fill. So
right.
they had to create more stuff than they could possibly
Right.
film.
And for those of you who don't remember this, you got to think back early 90s, the Iraq war.
Right.
How terrifying that was. There was no internet back then.
Right.
So you would literally have to swallow everything. That was your only source.
And people were tuned in nonstop to find out
Nonstop.
what's going on.
Right.
What's going on with the
Right.
war. Yeah.
Right.
All right, let's play it.
CD, if you need to take cover, I notice that you've got your gas
You can tell
mask
it's Saudi
in your
Arabia
hands. If you need
because
to put it
there's
on,
some
please
trees
do
behind
so.
him.
If you need to take cover, please do so. If you are able to take a question, did you think that the possible threat would be over because it is now morning there? It's what, just after 6 o'clock in the morning?
The whole thing is everyone assumed that the threat would be over because it was early morning. But the thing about Saddam Hussein is that he has never done the expected, and right now we have, once again been surprised with the unexpected, an air raid, an apparent attack, although we can't say what the outgoing missiles hit, at approximately 20 after 7 in the morning Saudi Arabian time. The crowd, the white
Yo. And think about this, when you watched this back in the day, like you totally were like, oh my God, what's happening?
What's happening, yeah.
It looks so real. Look at this guy. He put on the gas mask, so the other guy's going to die because he don't have a gas mask?
My apologies for that. He's putting on a gas mask. There hasn't been any gas dropped here that we could tell. You smell anything? No. You may smell some of the fumes from...
You smell anything? Wait, where's your gas mask? Hey, cameraman.
Yo, the acting is so bad, yo.
I have to apologize for that. I caught a whiff of something and felt momentarily dizzy. You're more experienced military. The top 10 things about Saudi Arabia. Maybe we could shorten the list to 5. Oh, God. Geopolitics by Dan Quayle.
So this is the set right here.
This is the set.
This is the set.
This is the set.
So this is the behind-the-scenes stuff that we didn't see.
Je suis un journaliste américain. Wolf. Wolf.
Boy, they're in danger. Look at that danger.
Oh, I love this country so much.
I thought you were in Saudi Arabia.
Well, Cheryl, it was almost exactly 2 hours ago when the sirens went off here in Saudi Arabia, where we are in eastern
See how
Saudi
they
Arabia.
just turned it on?
There was no problem. It was almost exactly 2 hours ago when the sirens went off here in Saudi Arabia, where we are in eastern Saudi Arabia. There was no problem. However, there was an intercept elsewhere near the capital city, Riyadh. We've got some videotape of that you can take a look at right now. Hi, Atlanta. We're about to have a short course in missile identification. This is a Scud. You can tell it by its distinctive label. Now, when the missile is
They're
launched,
just playing
the
around.
first thing you look
It's
for
just
is
bullshitting.
the plume sticking out behind it. Now, when you detect this, you can tell it's been launched. Thank you.
Graffiti on it? Yeah, show me graffiti.
Larry King show or bust.
This guy's hilarious. Okay, we can end that. Okay, so what we're showing is the clips in the beginning were literally what they broadcast.
Yes.
As real news.
Yeah.
The stuff that came out afterwards is all the like blooper reel behind the scenes stuff, which was what they were really doing. So,
and you got to notice the camera angles. It was very close, tight shots. And that's what it was. That was news back in the day.
But they do that now.
Yeah.
They do that now.
Yeah.
And CNN has been caught multiple times pretending that they're somewhere using green screens.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, you can see the blue screen on there.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Or the hurricane stuff.
Yeah. It's literally the definition of fake news.
Right.
Yeah.
Like.
Right.
Rachel's
just annoyed.
I'm done.
Rachel's annoyed.
The acting was like Saturday Night Live.
But that's the history of it. So it's like when you know that they're capable of doing that, and you see them doing certain things like that now. Like I've seen them stage protests where they'll gather people and put like 8 people in a street and bunch them together and get a shot and be like, massive protesters showed up, and it'd be like 8 people, and it's the angle that they got, and they collected the people and gave them signs. You know what I mean? It's like this is what they do to create a news story.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not just CNN, because Brian Williams got caught up in a lie. Brian Williams,
I remember that.
What was he? NBC?
I think it was ABC.
ABC.
Right?
Okay,
Right.
so he was the nightly news anchor. That's
Right.
like the most widely watched. This from 6:30 to 7 p.m. That's like the nightly news.
Right.
You know, and he lied about being in a helicopter, being attacked.
Right.
Yeah.
for sensationalism.
Right.
This is a leading anchor admitting this.
Hillary Clinton
got caught up in a lie.
got caught lying about that too.
Yeah,
Right.
Remember
Bosnia.
She was talking about when I think it was Bosnia, where she was saying like they had to escape air fire,
Right.
Yeah.
And then they found out that none of that happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the video of her leaving came out, and it was
Yeah.
like they were just
nothing.
nothing.
And that's what we're saying. You're saying that are these people capable of this? Absolutely,
Right.
they are.
Right.
And they've done it before.
So to us, like this Project Veritas thing is not surprising.
No.
It's just that people need to understand that when you're dealing with a news organization that has shareholders, that has owners, that has a profit margin, that has a bottom line, they have to make money.
Right.
They have to create ways to get you to click on links. They have to create ways to get you to tune in and watch.
Right.
So if that means manipulating you, if that means getting you whipped up into hysteria, we see it every time there's a storm approaching, right?
Yep.
Every time there's a storm approaching, what do? They turn it into the blizzard of the century so that you'll constantly be watching.
Right.
And then you'll rush to the store and get your eggs and your
Right.
milk and your water.
Right.
And then it's like when nothing happens, it's like, oh, well.
Yeah. Speaking
Well, we got this one wrong.
ABC News, they just got caught just recently.
That's right. Fake news.
I posted on.
So that should be the next link under there.
It was at the top. I didn't see it at the bottom. Oh, it's you put
I
it down
moved
there.
it. Yes.
Syria?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this just happened like yesterday, I think it was.
Was it yesterday?
I think it was yesterday. They got caught.
This video, obtained by ABC News, appears to show the fury of the Turkish attack on the border town of Tel Abyad.
A border town bombarded by Turkey's military. This video right here appearing to show
Slaughter
Turkey's military
in Syria.
bombing Kurd civilians in a Syrian border town. The Kurds who fought alongside the U.S. against ISIS. Now, horrific reports of atrocities committed by Turkish-backed fighters on those very allies.
That's real. That's the real clip.
So that's the real clip right there that they stole that clip from.
Which is a gun show.
Yeah, so and there's other people that have put that, those clips side by side to show you exactly what they did. So they wanted to create this idea that there's this bombings going off in Syria, and they stole that clip from a gun show in Kentucky where they were just showing military grade weaponry. You know what I mean? It was people come and watch it. There were people filming it with their phones and everything.
Well, clearly, I mean, there's a bunch of people standing there.
Yeah, right. So they cropped it out and they're like,
with the guns
Stan was there.
Stan was there. Yeah, he probably was.
I wanted to say something real quick about the whole fake news thing.
Okay.
I don't think that these corporations thought. I don't think they considered what social media was going to do.
I agree.
Where people have essentially become their own little news anchor, because now we have this thing happening where all of us want to break the news ourselves.
Right.
So you have a bunch of people on social media, Twitter, Instagram,
right.
Facebook, YouTube. Everybody's bringing their own version of the top 10,
right.
the top story.
Right.
And they can't account for that.
Right. And a lot of times they can't compete.
They can't compete with it.
When you look at certain channels on the internet, like even like a Philip DeFranco,
right.
Steven Crowder.
People are tuning into them.
Ben Shapiro. They
right.
get better ratings than CNN does.
Right.
So then what they do is they go in to the government, they go into Facebook, they go into with Google, and they say, you need to, figure out ways to push our content. So now YouTube, if you search something, it's going to give you CNN first,
right?
Because it's not
that story, whatever that story.
It's not gonna give it to you based off of the most searched things. It's not gonna give you fair rankings.
Yeah.
Google is completely changing that and editing it so that you only see certain things.
Right.
And now they're pushing the mainstream news stuff. I want to respond to what Mike asked, because he said. He said, on a serious note, though, that's very disturbing. Where does a person go to hear real news? Is real news even a thing? I mean, it depends on what you mean by real news. you have to kind of like read between the lines and do your own research at this point. And that's what we've all learned.
Right.
Like if you see a story, you gotta already be able to identify, all right, what's the source of this? So if it's coming from the New York Times, it's got a certain spin on it.
Right,
if it's
right.
coming from Fox News, it's got a certain spin on it.
Right.
If it's Breitbart, it's clearly got a spin on it.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of like you have to go into their story, find where they're getting the sources from, and find the original source yourself if you can.
Right.
And a lot of times that will shed more light on things for you, and you can make your own decision on how to view things,
Right.
and that's what kind of gave us our opinions on a lot of things, is because we will look up stuff and figure it out for ourselves, and not just let them feed us into a storyline.
Not trusting like just one like source.
Right. Yeah,
like
you
go
can't.
and look at 4 or 5 different articles, and then maybe find like a podcaster on like who's talking about it, and then between those 5 or 6 situations, you'll probably have 5 or 6 different stories that you're like, okay, maybe this is what happened.
Right. And look at opposing sources.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And realize too that this is essentially what the Bible talked about. If you're a believer, this is what the Bible talked about. In the last days, there'll be wars and rumors of wars.
That's why we put you in Jake's seat.
Channel my inner Jake. This is kind of what it is.
It's coming for your neck, Jake.
Right. Exactly. No, you're absolutely right.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
This is the time we live in where this is going to become the
where people don't know the difference between right and
people
wrong.
don't know difference, and because it's gonna twist you. So
Right.
sometimes, honestly, I turn it off, man.
Dude,
There's
me
only so
too.
much I can consume, and I'm like, oh
I
my
can't.
god,
Yeah, it becomes too much. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times once your eyes get open to
Right.
what is like being
How much
bombarded.
filtering can you do?
Right.
You
it's like I don't even want to deal with it.
Yeah, I
Like,
won't deal with it.
Stop.
It's never gonna
Enough.
stop. Listen, I had this conversation with a man, and he was 84 years old. He said, I just asked him, I said, Mr. Brown, so how was life back then? He said, let me tell you something, young man. He said, every 10 years, expect something.
Right.
He's like, that's how the owners of this place, the real owners of this place, they keep it like that. Every 10 years, there's a war, there's an economic depression.
There's an environmental crisis.
He's like, this has been happening since I was a young man.
Right.
And he rattled off from the time he was born in the whatever decade that was. He said, this year there was that war, then this war, then that war, then we had this economic boom, then we had the peace of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the Cold War. He's like, it's never gonna stop.
Right. It's never gonna
This
stop.
man has almost lived to 100 years, close.
Yeah.
And he's telling me, man, just live your life.
Just live your life.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to tell people all the time. It's like, don't get swept up in this stuff. Focus on your family.
Right.
Focus on like being the best person you can be.
Right.
When it comes to being a father, being a mother, being a
Right.
husband, being a wife, being a member of your community, and figure out what it means to be that.
Right.
Don't just go off of what the TV is forcing you into, the ideologies the TV is making you feel pressured to
Right.
be.
And celebrity culture.
Yeah.
That's really what's kind of like tripping people up right now is these celebrities.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're such in worship mode to them that no matter what we see, we just want to believe that these people really care about us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't be beholden to celebrities. Don't worship celebrities.
I mean,
Trust
that's what's happening right now with the NBA.
But
if you read between the lines, you can see what they really care about.
Oh yeah, but people are gonna make excuses for them, just like they did the whole Jay-Z thing. You know what I
Right,
mean? It's like the people that worship them are never gonna see the
Right.
wrong in what they're doing.
And you can't state your case and keep it moving.
Right.
Don't
Right, and that's like what we're doing here. So we talk about these things because those people like Mike who are tuned in and being like, "Yo, this is crazy. I never saw it like this before."
Yeah.
That's good for them to see that. The ones that don't, the ones like last week that are like, "Bye, are you guys dismissing?" You know what I mean? Like those are the people that you just gotta let them go live their life. It's like we're not here to convince you.
You're dismissing global warming.
Yeah, climate change.
Climate change.
Because remember, it's not global warming anymore.
Oh, yeah,
that
shit.
whole narrative died,
Shit.
and now it's about to be something else, right? Population. But did you see last week we were talking about Elon Musk?
No, I didn't.
How he changed the
I didn't see
narrative.
that part.
You didn't see that?
No.
So we played a clip last week of, because you know how.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Bill Gates has always been talking about
Right,
population
right.
explosion. We need to
Right.
get the population down, and now Elon Musk is talking about.
Screw you, Bill Gates.
He's talking about how there's a population crisis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And what people don't realize is that there's something called the Georgia Guidestones.
Yes.
And if you want to find out what this narrative is, go read that.
Please go Google the Georgia Guidestones when you get a chance.
And find out who wrote that.
Yeah.
And who put that and see what they're really trying to do.
Right.
They tell you what they want to do.
Yeah.
But it's just that people don't want to see that, man.
Yeah, that's what I last week I was talking about that. Like, sometimes I think like the devil is just playing the game with God. Like, I'm gonna be so blatant in front of these people, trying to convince God that we're no better than animals.
Right.
Like, you think these are great beings that you made, but they're just like monkeys.
Yeah.
They're just like,
I'm going to leave a note. I want to kill you. And put it on the, and they'll read it and be like, oh,
Right.
who wants to kill me?
Right.
Who knew?
Get back to watching porn. You know what I'm saying? It's like all we care about is having sex, eating, making money. It's like animalistic shit.
Right.
That's all we care about. And it's reducing us to that common denominator.
And the Romans nailed it.
Yep.
Bread and circus, man.
Bread and circus.
That's what they said. They said, look, the country's about to fall apart. You know?
Right. How do we keep the people from rioting? Give them games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Entertain them.
Give them give them basketball.
Yeah, and that's what it is.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. So speaking of CNN, did you guys see the town hall? The
No.
Democratic town hall?
No, you did tell me about it. I didn't watch it yet.
So I just want to show y'all a couple clips and then we can discuss them.
Yeah, I know.
There was another one like recently.
Yes.
Was this
did
the
I
one?
Did I put clips up in there, Rach? Of the town hall?
Was this the one with the trans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw. I saw
it.
some of it.
Okay.
With the trans guy.
Hold on. Let me see.
Wait. Did I get it right? Trans woman.
Trans woman, yeah.
Trans. I said
In a
trans
world where
guy
CNN
first.
thinks they're woke, it backfires on them.
Right. But the funny thing is to see even like Don Lemon, the gay black dude, being like treated as an oppressor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Wait, Don Lemon is gay.
Boy, that
Don
escalated
Lemon is
quickly.
Gay?
Yeah. It's like already
He's gay?
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Simone.
I didn't know.
Yo, I can't with this guy.
Speaking of not watching the news.
Yeah. Speaking of people who don't pay attention to shit.
This is my friend Don.
I know Anderson is.
Yeah, so is Don Lemon, and he was there too. Anderson was there too.
I didn't know. I just thought he was you know.
But Anderson can't say shit because he's white. You know what I mean?
Right. They told him, "Mum's the word."
It's like once you're white, you have no right to say anything anymore. Okay, so
next we're gonna see Don in a wig out there.
He's got to amp it up.
Gotta up it up.
He's got to up it up to the next level. All right, so I just put it up. Should be there now. So this is one clip from there, and then I'll post another one just so we can kind of get the vibe of what was going on there. And then I want to talk about something serious that came out of that and see what you guys think about it. Because this is just kind of funny.
Where's the thing at?
You don't see it? It should be all the way at the bottom.
Okay. Now it's here.
Okay. So pay attention to the name.
And Shay Diamond, a singer-songwriter from Los Angeles. She currently supports Mayor Buttigieg. Shay, what's your question?
It's Shea Diamond.
Shea Diamond.
Shea Diamond.
She looks like a witch.
It's on the record. Thank you.
Yes, honey, it's violence to misgender or to alter a name of a trans person. So let's always get that right first.
Yeah, so I just wanted to show that. So first of all,
This is violence.
It's violence to misname a transgender person.
Wow.
So the lady announced her reading it off of a paper.
Right.
Mind you, it's probably spelled SHEA.
Right.
Yeah.
Shay Diamond.
No dashes in there. So we know
dashes,
it's a
hyphenations. But she made her trans name She a Diamond. She a
Diamond.
You just got it.
Jeep yet?
You gotta learn ghetto talk a little
Y'all
bit.
too.
She a diamond. She a diamond. I thought that was hilarious. So, but that was like the tone of the whole thing. It was just like people getting up talking about trans rights, talking about apparently trans women are being killed a lot. I didn't know that they were being killed at a more rapid rate than regular women.
Right.
But I guess that maybe
I
they
think
are.
that's been like statistically, yes, there are high rates of.
But they also make up a tiny percentage of the
exactly.
population.
So you have to keep that in mind that
And
you're looking at a small pool of people.
Right. And also the lifestyle a lot of times.
Right. There is like when you're involved in sex work as a high percentage of what you're doing
and that's usually what it is.
Yeah.
Right. Which usually involves tricking somebody.
Tricking, yes.
Yeah. Pretending to be something else.
Or sometimes, if in Malik Yoba's case, there's no tricking involved.
I think a lot of that, to me, I think a lot of it is they trick a guy.
Yeah.
And when the guy finds out that you're not a woman, you're not you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You there's no guarantee how that person's going to react.
I mean, I think that does happen a lot.
Stan said, the debate is tonight. 12 of them up there fighting for time to spew their bullshit.
There's a debate tonight?
Okay, play the next clip that I just put up. So, no, let me set the tone before you push play. Okay, so, no, but go back, because I want to talk about it. The pause. Okay, so now.
I can't stand Buttigieg.
Now you see, and his.
I can't stand
First
him,
of all, that's Beto.
Oh, Beto O'Rourke. I'm sorry. Beto O'Rourke.
He's worse, though. He's like, Beto.
Yeah.
But, so the little boy is a transgender girl. It's now a boy. All right. And that's the mom.
Okay.
And so, 9 years old, went up there like, I'm a 9-year-old trans, and everyone applauds, and it's a great thing because children should be changing their sex. We get it. But as they're speaking, something happens where you're going to see someone just come and snatch the mic and bump the little kid out the way.
He got Kanye West?
He got Kanye West.
I just want to take a moment before I ask my question to validate the pain of our transgender siblings that demonstrated earlier and that have spoken
It's not
up
good
today.
enough. It's not good enough.
Especially black trans women.
But let me tell you something. Black trans women are being killed in this country. And CNN, you have erased black trans women.
She
for the
just
last
bumped.
time. Let me tell you something. Black trans women are dying. Our lives
I don't want to take this away from you.
I'm an extraordinary black trans woman. And I deserve to be here. My black trans sisters that are here. I am tired. I am so tired. I'm just sitting there. And it's not just my black trans women. It's my black trans brothers too. And I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm going to say what I'm going to say.
Come here. No, I just want to ask you something. Come here. Tell me. Come here. I want you to talk. What's your name?
I'm Blossom C. Brown.
Blossom, let me ask you.
Google me.
Blossom.
Please Google me.
Blossom, thank you.
I said I didn't know he was gay.
Let me. No, don't come on the stage.
And he loves white men.
May I have the mic?
Okay.
May I have the mic? Blossom, let me tell you something. The reason that we're here is to validate people like you. That is why we're giving, but that is why we're here. Okay. But yeah. Hang on, we can't hear you. Blossom, we can't hear you. Here, Blossom, we can't hear you.
Baby, your actions have to speak louder than words because guess what? Not one black trans woman has taken the mic tonight. Not one black trans
But what
man
about
has
Shea
taken
Diamond?
The mic tonight. Show
I thought
me.
Shea Diamond
Was
was
that
up
before?
there.
That was before.
Maybe this
Thank
was
you, I
before
appreciate
Shea
it.
Diamond.
Blossom,
You
you're a
didn't
black
see. You
trans
didn't
woman.
wait
You have
enough
the
long.
mic
You
in your
didn't
hand.
wait for the show to
Give it back
blossom.
to you.
Shea
We want to
Diamond.
hear from you. We have had trans people of color. We've had all people here, and you're welcome. But we are proud and happy that you're here. We're proud and happy that you're here. Yes, but remember, we're on our time constraint. All right. Thank you, Blossom, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's how anti-blackness works.
Oh, thank you,
people of
Blossom,
color.
for teaching us that.
That's what anti-blackness looks like. The erasure of black trans people.
All right.
I'm here. We're here in this room. Please give us that opportunity.
Blossom, thank you so much, and we appreciate you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and China.
She
Go ahead,
Brody.
go ahead.
Why did he keep taking the mic from her like he wasn't mic'd?
Yeah.
He was like, hold on, give me the
Yeah,
mic.
I don't know. It seemed a little staged to me, to be honest.
Right.
Maybe China's
What was
involved.
the point? What's the point of it?
Why would they stage that though? That kind of made them look silly.
It did make them look silly, but I think Because think about it. Like, you don't think places like that have presidential candidates there don't have security? You think you could just rush the stage when the president? There's Secret Service there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're
Like,
right. That's a valid point.
Right.
You think you could just rush the stage? And
And maybe
if you
sometimes
watch
that's to show the passion.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think if you watch the whole thing, it was going on the whole time. People jumping up, yelling, sign. They had signs with them.
They did it at the Revolt Summit where someone screamed out and Killer Mike said, "Whoa, hold on."
Right.
But that got quelled down.
Right.
They love the sensation of this all because they can sell that as look how passionate they are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's about showing the outrage. We need to show. This is what.
But that's part of the whole outrage culture. The whole social justice thing was screaming and yelling. We saw this with the Milo Yiannopoulos when he would go, or Ben Shapiro whenever they would go somewhere. By screaming at them and yelling at them, you're getting more attention.
Right.
You're almost taking away the attention from the speaker too.
But this is the funny thing. It's like, even at a Milo thing or a Ben Shapiro thing, I get it more because you're protesting what they're saying. You're saying like, we don't want to hear you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So there's a summit going on
right.
that you're at, a town hall that you're at to talk about trans issues, to talk about the thing that you're upset about. And you're there yelling at everybody. Like, it's totally counterproductive.
No, I get what you're saying. But I think, here's what I think. And I could be wrong. I think that the CNN executives watch those Ben Shapiro and they see the ratings.
They need the viral moment.
Yes. So they see it and they're like, yo, let's recreate this.
Right.
Let's copy this moment because those are the memes and those are the segments.
Those are the memes. They know that, everyone's going to be posting CNN clips all the next day because of all of those little crazy.
Right. People are looking for those moments. In
viral
time.
moments.
Yes.
It's viral moments.
Yeah. So how can we recreate that? And if we set it up, we can get these moments where she's clapping and she or whatever.
So they went to Blossom and they said, "All right, Blossom, this is your
and action.
Now make sure you bump the little boy over."
Right. Right.
Yeah. It's like,
I think that's what it is because they're trying to recreate these moments in real life situations, but make it their own.
It was funny because I would love to see the statistics on like how much more black women are being killed, like not the trans black women, but like black biological women are being killed by gun violence. You know what I mean? As opposed to the number, like if you say disproportionately, like that could be anything. It could be 10 people, and because the population's so low that it looks like it's disproportionate. Right. But I would love to see so we don't care about all of the black
biological,
women, mothers, sisters, daughters that are being killed in the streets. Like we need to just focus on. And we talked about this before. It's like we're bypassing a whole segment of the population that we know has needed help for years to now this new thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like they keep propping up this new thing. It's like, we need to focus on this though.
Right. Right.
You know
and what you
mean?
just said, they're not going to mention the statistics of most of these trans women are in sex work.
Right.
What they're doing.
Right.
They're not going to mention that because then you're blaming the victim.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I just saw, I said it to my brother, an article. My brother lives in California, and I always send him shit about California because I'm always shitting on California. It's a horrible state. But I saw, and I think I sent this to you, Rach, where it was an article talking about how the STD rate in California has risen like 200%. And a lot of that had
100%.
Yes, and it's like I'm talking about syphilis, chlamydia, old school stuff. Not only that, because of the homeless population, typhoid,
all the
like the bubonic plague,
they're pooping in the streets.
Right, they're pooping in the streets.
Right.
But a lot of the STD rise has to do with sex work and transgender, and a lot of these people are in the sex work environment, and a lot of it has to do with the housing crisis and homelessness.
Right.
Because these people are selling sex for money and drugs and the drug culture out there. So they're seeing this giant rise, and the infant death rate because of sexually transmitted disease has went up 900%.
God damn.
Dang.
Also, I've been watching some of these Hollywood bloggers, vloggers, YouTube personalities, and they wow out and film themselves doing it. They're like, okay, we're going to go out for the night. And then they go out and it's just like debauchery and craziness and chaos. And that's like Philly ain't like that.
Right.
Like some of this footage that I'm seeing is like there ain't people like having sex in the street
Yeah.
and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna get arrested.
Right.
Wow.
So,
And then you mix that with the shit that's on the street right
You
next
know,
to them.
you know,
And the
it's
needles.
not clean.
But at least there's
Wow.
no plastic straws, so there's
So,
that.
good.
There's that.
stuff.
Yeah, so they ban plastic straws, but
Right.
you know, you can go out there and get syphilis if you
Right.
want.
Don't lay down here, girl. Somebody just poop right there. Might get infected.
I was saying we should do we should do we should do a skit where like where you see like a homeless guy walking in the middle of the street and he pulls his pants down and you're driving and you're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then you're like, "Is that a plastic straw?" He's got a cup of plastic straw. How dare you? You know what I mean? You don't give a crap that he's shitting in the street. It's like, plastic straw.
You don't react to that.
Or like do a skit where it's like, because plastic straws are illegal there now, and
Right,
like there's some places where you can get fined, you can go to jail for
Right.
having a plastic straw. So if you turn that into like the new drug culture,
Right.
where it's like you go there to get a plastic straw, you gotta go to your dealer.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right. Right.
Plastic straws, bro. We were just in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
It's illegal now.
Is it? I don't know.
It's illegal.
Where is it illegal?
I don't know. I didn't look into where exactly it's illegal, but
Come on, when we went to Starbucks, I think Nita had iced coffee or something like that, and she got the plastic straw, and I got cold foam, and you know they put it in a plastic cup,
yeah.
with the plastic lid.
You mean she got a paper straw? Okay.
Paper straw,
Right.
Not a plastic.
Yeah. I just
But-
want to.
Yeah,
clear
but
it
the
up.
cup was plastic.
Cup is plastic.
Which is, it takes more. It's big.
But I think the rationale is that the plastic straws are the size of the plastic straws. Like animals end up eating them, or like that's the methodology of it. It's like you ban those because animals. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not about the plastic.
They get stuck in the whale blowholes.
Is that yes?
Yeah.
Is that
and
Seriously.
dolphins?
Turtle noses.
Turtle
Right,
noses. Yeah,
that's
because that remember that viral clip of the straw in the turtle's nose.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about.
See,
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that, but
there
it's
is.
imprinted in my brain as
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's
I
the
thought it was
problem.
just an environmental
But then
thing,
also,
and
I think
plastic
like
is.
people don't like. There's no recycling option, or we haven't been trained, or I don't know if you can or can't actually recycle plastic straws. But either way, people always throw them out.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
plastic cups,
Yeah.
for instance, are like
They
at least you can
recycle them.
recycle
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And I think they banned plastic in certain parts of California altogether now, like plastic bottles and stuff like that, cups.
Oh, okay.
So
Box water, you
Yeah.
know, and cardboard box. Everything starts going in like, you know, how coconut water comes, like in that.
yeah. But then there's this other viral meme of the leader of the Green Party in Canada, this woman. Someone took a picture of her and she's like holding a cup in her hand, and the cup is a reusable cup with a metal straw in it, and they're like, yeah, Green Party, blah blah blah. So the person, whoever it was, leaked that was a Photoshop picture, and it was actually a plastic cup, and they had to turn it into like a reusable cup with a metal straw, but it was really just like a regular old like.
Oh my gosh.
See,
it's hilarious.
See,
man.
you can't live by your own rules.
It's hilarious. The hypocrisy is just so annoying.
Trudeau.
Yeah, Trudeau.
That's what you got to call it. That. Hey man, you got Trudeau.
You got
man.
Trudeau.
You got Trudeau.
Yeah, when you become a verb, it's like Jussie, right?
Yeah.
You got Jussie. Yeah.
Juicy.
What did Stan say?
Juicy Smolier.
Oh, that was still about the debate.
The debate thing.
Yeah.
Smolier.
So I think we got to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Cool, man. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. We love you. We appreciate you. Patreon.com/YoungLionTV. Go to Jatan.com. Get the merch. Look for some shows coming up in the near future. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Remember, don't be a sheep. Learn how to be a lion. We're out of here.
Peace.
Young lion, go live, yeah. Young lion, you rich, yeah. This kingdom has